Russia has kept its Black Sea Fleet in Crimea for 240 years. President Vladimir Putin risks losing his flagship naval headquarters as Ukraine steps up attacks on the occupied peninsula. The attacks forced Russia to move its ships out of harm's way. Almost a decade after Putin annexed Crimea to preserve the fleet's presence as Kiev closed in on the United States and Europe, no Crimean port is safe for Russian warships anymore, said Ruslan Pukhov, director of the Center for Analysis of Strategies and Technologies in Moscow. Ukraine basically removed the fleet from Crimea. Russia strikes Ukrainian cities days after Battleship hit in Crimea. The latest cruise missile attack hit a large Russian landing craft in the eastern Crimean port of Feodosia on Tuesday. Russia has killed at least 20 ships, including warships, submarine and a landing craft, since Putin ordered full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. According to the Ukrainian Armed Forces and independent assessments by open-source intelligence agency Oryx, the breakthrough in Crimea brings some good news to Ukraine after a long-awaited ground counteroffensive failed to dislodge Russian forces from occupied territory in the east and south of the country. Political disagreements. United States, the European Union are stalling more than $110 billion in financial and military aid to Ukraine, raising doubts about allies' support for Kiev as war approaches 2 years with no end sight. Of course, although attacks have increased pressure Russian defenses peninsula and supply lines to its troops in occupied southern Ukraine, they are likely to have a limited impact. Developments battlefield, with conflicts ground largely stalemated. But Ukraine's success at sea is even more remarkable because it does not have its own warships. Instead, it challenges Russia's naval superiority by using missiles and unmanned seaplanes. A report by Washington-based Institute for Study of War said Ukrainian attacks forced Russia to adopt a more permanent basing model on eastern Black Sea coast by shifting its assets away from Crimea. The supply of British Storm Shadow and French Scalp cruise missiles helped Ukraine tip the balance in its favor, allowing it to evade air defenses and carry out precise strikes on Russian targets. The raids were so effective that they helped Ukraine break Kremlin's efforts to block grain exports through the Black Sea after Moscow in July annulled a deal brokered by United Nations and Turkey, allowing ships safe passage. Ukraine has shipped 10 million tons of commodities, mostly grain, through this transit since August. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on October 24 that Russia's fleet could no longer operate in the western part of the Black Sea, calling this a historic success for his country. Although Ukrainian forces have not yet established full fire control over Crimea and its waters, we will. The Ukrainian Navy reported on Thursday that 6 Russian militar